Well, as we anchor out of Mumbai all this week, we've been picking up various themes on stories and controversies that have made headlines in recent weeks. And pretty much every week, you've been seeing a story about some kind of a ban or some kind of a diktat, something to do with the censor board, cuss words, beef bans, the AIB roast, of course. Something or the other keeps making headlines in Maharashtra and in this city in particular. The question is whether that's killing the spirit of this city, whether this is a city that is now losing its sense of humor because the state decides to play nanny on everything.
Why are you making this about Bombay? Mumbai. Why are you making this about this?
I said Mumbai. My God. Well, let me first take that question to Cyrus. Broacha. Cyrus, what's going on? I mean, is it harder to be a comedian or an artist or whatever you want to be called in today's Mumbai than it was a few years ago? Is it harder or is it easier?
Yeah, I think that lack of respect there was apparent. Whatever we want to be called, that's right. You can't put us in any slot. It's definitely not as much fun. I think in the last couple of years have been really hard. We've started self-censoring ourselves a lot. I think the IB boys will also understand that, in a sense that you start thinking all the time about what you can and can't say. And what I don't understand is that, I mean, look at our politicians. They're allowed to stand, whoever they are. We don't say too ugly, too thin, too tall, too whatever. Let's just leave it out there for everybody to consume, Let's have everything. And if you don't like the AIB roast, you put off the thing. You log on to something else. You don't like our show, you change the channel. Why can't we just allow people to choose? I mean, why are we treating everybody like 8-year-olds? It's a little sad that we're not able to go ahead, We're taking one step forward, 2 steps backward. Now, I'm not saying that you go on insulting people, but in the case of the roast, for example, if people are happy to go and see it, whose business is it, to go and enjoy it? It's a personal thing between the artist and the people watching.
How dare you say something about Indian culture,
But having said that, obviously, hi, ma'am. You're haunting me still, 20 years after college. You're still there to correct me. I'm terrified. No, it's not about Indian culture. I'm just talking about openness, perestroika. I named my son after Mikhail Gorbachev. Openness and restructuring is what we need here in the comedy scene. So I would like to have a new USSR removed and a new India born from it, in a sense. And I just think we need more openness. And I think the young people understand that. Unfortunately, we're having trouble with the not so young people. You must, or if you color your hair like I do, I think it makes a big difference. You fit in better.
Okay, but Gursimran, let me ask you. You guys, you had a rough time after the whole controversy about the roast, and now you've made this comeback. In a sense, this video you did on net neutrality, everyone is saying is the AIB comeback. Are you more tentative? You watch yourself a little more?
Actually, 2 things. One, I don't think it was a comeback because once, I mean that...
You're kind of lying low.
We were producing because also based on what was happening, it was the first time we were sort of dealing with it just in terms of the legal ramifications, and those are going on. But we were like, okay, let's go back to the only way to distract ourselves is go back to what we were doing. So we started producing a lot of our sketches and stuff like that, stuff that is going to come out. So for us, this wasn't a comeback because actually over the last month and a half, we've been doing a lot of work and stuff like that. But I do think in terms of self-censorship, I know, I speak for myself, I don't know what Tanmay feels about this. I know that because of this experience, and this is not just us, comedians across the board in the city and also in India, because we've had these conversations saying that earlier you could do a lot of things on stage which you would do it casually because as a comedian you want to test how far you can go. As a comedian you want to see which are the darker areas an audience is going to go with you. How much fun can you make. Whereas now I think everybody's a little circumspect. And I also want to counter, I don't think it's just a Mumbai or a Maharashtra thing. The easiest example for this is what happened to the Daily Show now with the new host that they got, Trevor Noah.
Yeah.
And this happens to Indian comedians all the time where 5 years ago he made a dumb joke, a really dumb tweet. So they brought that out and they said, okay, how can you be a host now because you said that 5 years ago? So I think in general, people are a little more politically correct and I think it's just a reality, at least I think we'll have to live with.
But I feel like
you find yourself, Tanmay, more politically correct today? Careful?
Well, I don't want to commit to a single word, but I'll tell you what's happened. I think after the roast, what happened is we realized our reach. We realized this can go this far. So what happens now is we start picking our battles. Like earlier we would be a little more casual about it, but now we start picking our battles, which is this is worth fighting for, whereas this is not worth fighting for. Where we now know, okay, we can now see this is how people will react here, but is it something that I absolutely want to do? Then I will go ahead and do it. I feel like we're picking our battles now. Having said that, I think I've always believed that the job of a comedian is to see how far the line can go, is to see how far we can push the boundaries.
How far do you think you can go?
Will be found out clearly. Yeah, but the idea is that I hope as a group we never reach a point where we feel like, I feel like we should just stop doing what this is, and I won't lie about it. There were times where we were like, should we just go back to doing a day job? It's not worth doing it in this country. This country won't ever get it. But I hope we don't ever reach that point. But for now, I can tell you that we're good. We're feeling great.
That you can bounce back from this. Yeah. Interesting. The other entity that keeps making headlines is of course the censor board, especially in recent weeks, and we've got Nandini Sardesai, who's a member of the board and has been outspoken and very critical of its head, Mr. Prahlad Nilani, who I'm told has left town, which is why he didn't want to come on this program. But Ms. Sardesai, you've been outspoken. Your colleagues on the censor board have called him a tyrant. There's been accusations that he runs it as a fiefdom, and there have been these crazy sort of things that have been introduced. You had the controversy over the cuss words. You had the word lesbian removed from a film. 50 Shades of Grey just found, like a film that just couldn't be released in this country. I mean, I'm honestly asking you that as a member of this board, do you believe that, it should even continue to exist in this form? Do you think it serves a purpose?
Okay. It's called the CBFC, and the CBFC means it's the Central Board of Film Certification. Unfortunately, it's known as the censor board. This is actually a legacy of the British Raj, because the British censored films during their time where they showed some nationalistic themes or patriotic themes. Sadly, instead of certifying films, we are continuing this hangover of the British and thinking that we can do moral policing, and I do not believe in it. I deal with students between the ages of 16 and 20, and I would like to say that in spite of my white hair, I'm on the same wavelength as the 16 and 20-year-olds. I know exactly how they talk, and therefore I was somehow not happy with the ban of, on cuss words that was there, because I hear students talking all the time and I know what language they are using. In fact, I'm constantly learning new words from them. And therefore, I feel that the job of the CBFC, I keep on saying certification, is to certify films as A, UA, depending on the content, and make policy making decisions. They are not expected to censor films. If in the process of certifying you find something blatantly obscene or something that threatens the integrity of the country or is likely to cause a law and order problem, then you tell the filmmaker, please delete this scene. Even then the filmmaker has the right to go to a revising committee, to go to a tribunal. I don't think that you can really encroach on this freedom of expression. I believe in it. I'm a sociologist basically. That's my main job, and as a sociologist, I just don't believe in bans.
Do you agree with Ashok Pandit's description of him as a tyrant? And I believe you once were quoted as saying that in a sense he's made the CBFC. Yeah, I mean, how are you all dealing with it? How are you all, working with it?
All of us, we are on email with each other, all the board members, and say out of 15 or 16
are
of
you all
us,
friends? Do you invite each other to birthday parties? You go out for dinners?
Believe in the same thing. But and we've even talked to the IB Minister of State about this. We're waiting to hear. Unfortunately, the chairperson doesn't seem to listen to us. So we are, in a way, what is meant to be a joint decision is being taken only by one person, and that is what is really rattling me.
But that's really interesting, Cyrus. You find that interesting that you have virtually the entire board saying that its chairman is unreasonable, doesn't listen to them, unilaterally takes decisions. Yes. They want the cuss words to stay. Look at the situation we find ourselves in, Cyrus.
Yeah, it's amazing. Our PM is out of the country, the Congress's leader couldn't be found, and now the censor board fellow is not getting along with the rest of the people. Lots of issues with the country at the moment that we have to deal with. Not enough time to deal with it at the moment. But yeah, I'm still going to go back to the first thing. I think it's a tragedy if we have hot young talents like AIB coming up, trying to push the envelope, do their thing, and actually make comments like they're looking at other jobs, because they were so worried. I mean, really, I don't know what to do. Okay, so that's it then. There's no hope. Let's all go to Nepal and try again.
What would you do? What would you do if you weren't a comedian? And I say that with respect.
I don't know, I think maybe a lifeguard because I look really good in trunks, that kind of thing. But other than that, at the age, let's just say, me and Malaika are somewhat the same age, but she looks so lovely and I don't. And that's genetics, you can't do much about that. But it would be really sad. It would be really sad that we turn away talent. The next AIBs that come up from, the internet is going to be, as everybody knows, the breeding ground. And they'll all start censoring themselves. The comedy will be 4 jokes. We'll have 4 jokes on your own parents and your own wife and your own daughter and son, and that's it. We've got to allow a little broadness, a little freedom. We've got to allow people to think, enjoy themselves. If they don't have that freedom of expression, which, by the way, on Ambedkar Jayanti we should talk about, since he framed the Constitution and put it right there. For those people who stop reading Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys, read the Constitution. It's there. Freedom of expression. And expression doesn't just mean about faith and worship, which follows, but to express yourself. Express yourself. If we don't express ourselves as a country, we can't go anywhere. We just go back. And it's sad that we, an out-of-work actor like me, and 2 jokesters who are having trouble putting their act together because of government restrictions, are sitting here and telling the rest of the country and feeling like wise men. That's a complete sad commentary on the times we live in and our society.
Well, we have Mr. Ratan Sharda, who's an RSS thinker and author, and he's joining us here on location tonight. Mr. Sharda,
can I ask you to remove the word censor all the time? Don't keep the word censor.
Will you see? Well, ma'am, the problem is people will not understand CBFC, and we just try to simplify.
It will
but you're
taken
right.
some other way.
Fair enough. We should certification board. I think we'll try and change it to that. But Mr. Sharda, this impression that suddenly, not just suddenly, but gradually, the state is becoming more and more of a nanny. Whether it was with the AIB roast, the way the certification board is functioning. You have the beef ban. People are being told what you can do, can't do, what you can say, can't say. You even had FIRs lodged against people for being at the roast and clapping and
education in Rajasthan, Nidhi, they're taking away Pythagoras, Archimedes.
No, so Mr. Sharda, how do you respond to that criticism?
See, I thought the subject was censorship, so we could stick to the subject.
This is the subject.
Yeah, so I am not talking B-ban right now. I'm talking censorship
I'm
now.
Yeah, this is an example.
See, point is, any state is not new. It is there since 1947, since Nehru took over. He believed in any state. The Cinematography Act, which is being used by Censor Board now, is written 60 years back. It is not something new. All Nehlani has done is trying to bring back what was written there in word.
So this is Nehru's
whether rightly or wrongly. This Cinematography Act is 60-year-old. It needs to be amended. It needs to be changed with the time, first of all. So things must evolve as the time changes. That's point 1. So whether Nehlani sits there, somebody else sits there, problem will remain. Even the Leela Sampson, the so-called liberal, she could pass a PK, but she could not pass a Malayali film that talked about 2 nuns' lives. She could not pass the Malamal because it had some priest being shown as, greedy.
Yeah.
So this dual standard, whether Leela Sampson, the arc, liberal, or Nehlani, typical conservative as you call him, the problem is same because it is arbitrary kind of power you have given them. In laws which are written 60 years back, when all the heroines were always clad in saris, looking down on the floor and not looking at heroes doing all kind of things still. So that was the time. Now time is different.
But sir, the thing
Point
is...
Point 1. Point 2, I don't have a problem with AIB. Now see, AIB, what language they use, typically a truck driver's language on the road. If the truck driver walked into the studio and spoke the same language that you spoke, he would be called a boor. He would be called a,
you should write for them. You should write for them.
Just a moment. Let me finish my argument, sir. Let me. I have come a little late. I have nothing against you. No, I am not calling you. I am saying if that was in Hindi, it would be called boorish. Now, since you talk it in English, in AIB, in a very nice environment, becomes good humor.
Have you seen
I have seen, sir. I have seen.
You've seen? Are you suggesting everything was in English?
Let me finish.
Okay, go on.
Let me finish.
Go on.
So, I don't have a problem with any vulgarity.
Did you get a free ticket or sir, did you pay money?
Used.
That's the question
my
you should
problem,
be asking.
My dear sir, let me complete my argument.
Go on.
I am neither against nor in favor. I am saying I have a problem not with the boorish word or the vulgar language used. My problem is that when you talk of civilization, a civilization is born, a society is born with certain restraint and certain curtailment of freedom. That is the first condition of social contract. It will happen to society as you move into family. You have more constraints. You don't talk in front of your parents, talking of sex and talking of homosexuality and the poses.
So
now you don't believe in family
Yes,
system,
but
it's your way.
society
But I believe in
progresses,
family
the
institution.
social
I believe in
contract
social
allows,
system and it is
the
understood.
lines, the
Just a
boundaries
moment.
go ahead. The
Mr.
boundaries
Cyrus,
keep going
listen.
ahead.
Mr. Cyrus, I know you speak better than me, but please listen. I am saying when a social contract is made right from 16th century, I am not even talking of Indian values. It is made on the specific thought that you will curtail certain freedom to have an ordered society. If you don't believe in ordered society,
Then
if you
send them
believe
to jail.
family system is not good for India, go ahead, enjoy your life.